Welcome you all to the training session on statistical process control. Today is the day 4, and in today's session, after the clause of confidentiality, we will start preparing the X bar R chart. Yesterday we have learned how to make IMR chart. So we will start now making, again it's a variable type control chart, but which utilizes the subgroup. So X bar R chart and X bar S chart. And then we will see what is defectives and what is defect, because you are going to plot the chart for the attributes, and that chart for attribute are prepared for defectives, that is non-conforming, and defect, that is non-conformances. Okay, so we will see what these terms are actually, and then we will prepare the control chart for attribute, that is NP and P chart, C and U chart. So clause of confidentiality, as we are telling you at the start of every session, do not share the training content, screenshots, recordings on any of the public platform, not to your connection. Share the knowledge, do not share the contents directly. Now coming to the X bar R chart. Yesterday we have just gone through it quickly. We will recap it again today. When you are going to X bar R chart, when the subgroup size is from 2 to 10. So because you have the constant right from 2, so even you can utilize this X bar R chart when the subgroup size is 2 also. It means if you are taking 2 samples from every 100 sample, 2 samples from every 25 samples, then you can utilize this chart also. And normally it is restricted up to 10. It is basically useful for monitoring the averages of the process, how the process is running, what is the averages of the process, and as well as you can keep the track of the range also, कि range कहाँ जा रही है हमारे, because range will be of that all the samples in the subgroup. Again, same as the IMR chart, the X bar R chart is also a combination chart. It means you need to plot it simultaneously utilizing the data. But in case of IMR chart, if you are preparing the IMR chart for example 20 readings, you are preparing it for the 20 readings, how many readings will be there in the range chart? Will it be 20 readings or something different? How many readings will be there in the range chart? In the IMR chart, I am talking about IMR, yes, 19. Why? Because the reading will be basically the range between the two samples, then the range between these two. So when there are 3 samples, actually you are taking the range of 2. So when there are 20 samples, you will get the value of 19 ranges. Got it? But in case of the X bar R chart, as you are utilizing it for the subgroup, means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever is your subgroup size, you are taking the average of this one, average of this 6 data, and you are taking the range of this data. And how you are going to calculate the range? Yesterday we have seen how you calculate the range of the subgroup. What you will do to calculate the range of the subgroup? How you are going to calculate the range of this 6 data if the subgroup size is 6? How you are going
maximum
to
value minus minimum value.
Yes, the maximum value in the set of subgroup minus the minimum value will give you the range of the subgroup. So basically what you are plotting there, the ranges of the subgroups, averages data, and the averages of the average you are going to take, that is X double bar. This instead of the individual data, plotting individual data. So for example, if you are collecting a subgroup of 6, your subgroup size is 6, and every day you are taking, say for example 30 or 24 readings, because every hour you are taking 6 reading, so 24. So how much data you will have in a day? How much data you will have? Subgroup size is 6, every hour you are taking 6 data, and in 24 hours how much data will be there? Yes, people, simple calculation. How much data will be there total? How much data you will collect in a day? 6 data every hour. You have 24 hours. How much data you will collect? 144. है ना? Simply do 25 into 6, 150 minus 6 if you want to calculate it quickly instead of using the calculator. Okay, instead of 24 into 6 it is difficult. 25 into 6, 150 minus 6, 144. So you will have 144 data. You will have 144 data points. Now if you plot this 144 data, it is difficult to get any trends, because you are saying that these 6 data are actually representative of that particular hour. So instead of plotting this 144 data, what you are doing, you are plotting only how many data, how much data you will plot on the control chart. If you are using the X bar R chart, how much data you are going to plot there? 24. है you are going to plot the 24 data. So instead of plotting, instead of putting this 144 data, and it is of no use, because why you are using the control chart? To monitor the variation, is it not? You are utilizing the control chart to monitor the variation. And if you are saying that there will be these 6 samples are basically representative of that entire process during that 1 hour, it means there should not be as such variation within that. So instead of plotting this 6 sample here, you are plotting only 1 sample. Then another subgroup can be here. So instead of plotting 6 sample, you are plotting only 1 point. So that will basically give you a proper trend where the process is moving. You can take action subgroup to subgroup instead of plotting the samples unnecessarily, so much of a data. Just imagine if your subgroup size is 10, there will be 240 data in a day, and I am taking hourly. If there are so many samples are prepared and you are the thousands of data are created, it is of no use to plot it there. It is not going to give you any indication. That's why in such cases we are going to use the X bar R chart. So instead of having so many data plotting, you are just concisely plotting the averages of the subgroup size, averages of the data within the subgroup, and the range of that particular subgroup. And to calculate the control limit now, to calculate the control limit, what you are going to use? X bar R chart, you are going to use X double bar minus. Now what is this X double bar? What is X double bar?
Average, right?
X bar is the average. X bar is the average. Then X double bar will be averages of the average, rightly? Because what data you are going to plot here? You are going to plot average. On the control chart, you are going to plot the average. You are not going to plot the X. You are going to plot the X bar. X bar of this subgroup, X bar of this subgroup. Like in the IMR chart, you are plotting the value of X, that is individual value. But here you are plotting the X bar values. And to calculate the control limit, you are taking the averages of this average. So averages of all the subgroups, subgroup data, minus A2 R bar. Now what is this R bar? What is the R bar? Or MR bar you can say. So here it is not moving range basically. Here it is the R bar. So what is the R bar? Again, whenever there is a bar, it means average of the range data. When you are taking one subgroup, averages of the range. So for one subgroup, the range will be there. So you will plot the range of this subgroup. You are going to plot the range. For this subgroup, what is the range? You are going to plot it here. Then what is the range of this subgroup? You are going to plot it here. Again, what is the range of this subgroup? You are going to plot. So this is basically the range data for each subgroup you are plotting on the range chart. Now for calculation of the LCL and UCL, you are going to take averages of this R, averages of all these ranges. So that is R bar. So H double bar minus A2 R bar and H double bar plus A2 R bar will give you LCL and UCL for the X bar chart. And for the R chart, that is ranges chart, you need to use the constant D3 and D4. The constant D3 and D4 up to the subgroup of 6. Up to the subgroup of 6, the LCL will be 0 because the value of D3 is 0 up to subgroup of 6. And above that, okay, subgroup will be the some value will there for the LCL. Otherwise, LCL will be 0. And for UCL, you are going to take the D4. Now, in our example, we are taking the subgroup size of 4. So, you are going to take the constants here like this one. So, if you people are clear about this, shall we move to the Excel sheet? Or if you have any doubt, you can ask. I will clarify here and then we will move to the Excel sheet. Okay, shall we move to the Excel sheet then? I am X bar R chart. Okay, so this is the data. Now this is the data. Now any one of you have tried preparing the IMR chart? Did you people tried making the IMR chart? Okay, no issues. So here when you are taking the subgroup data, so for it means you have collected because here LCL and UCL, for calculating the LCL and UCL, you need to collect some data first, and after that live plotting of the data will go on. So it is basically the calculation of the trial control limit which you are going to use if there are no issues found. You continue to use that one. You don't need to calculate the control limits and the averages on daily basis. Let me tell you. Okay, averages of the average you are not going to calculate and plot it on a daily basis. It will be your according to your historical. Yes, you will calculate and put it there, not on the graph. Okay, that I will explain you again. So this is our data. What is the subgroup size here? What is the subgroup size? 4. Okay, the subgroup size is 4. And now everybody please mute yourself. Mr. Praveen, mute yourself. There is some background noise. Yeah. Mr. Praveen, you have any doubt? You raise the hand.
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So this is the subgroup size. Now to make a graph, what is required? You require the data. So data is not, this is not you are going to plot. What you are going to plot? आप क्या प्लॉट करने वाले हो इस चार्ट पे, एक्स बार आर चार्ट पे? हमको क्या लगता है? डेटा. तो यहां पे हमको क्या निकालना पड़ेगा अभी? In the X bar R chart, what you are going to plot on the graph? Are you going to plot individual data? average. Yes, so you are going to plot the average of the subgroup, Pawan. Okay, you are going to plot the average of the subgroup, means within subgroup average, and you require the range data. So that is the subgroup range, है ना? It is the subgroup range. So the average of this 4 reading, which is called X bar. So you take AVERAGE, average of this subgroup. This is the average of the subgroup, which is 60.9 for this subgroup. Then you are going to take the average for the next subgroup. Again, you will make average for the next subgroup. So you calculate, keep on calculating the average of each subgroup. Okay, I think AVERAGE. You keep on calculating the average of the each subgroup. And I will make it little bit bigger. Okay. And then range. The range will be minimum of the value, sorry, maximum of this one, maximum of minus minimum of the subgroup. Which is 2.1. So you drag this one up to 25. So this is your range data. Now you have the S bar data, you have the range data. Now what you require? You require X double bar. So how I am going to calculate X double bar? कैसे calculate करूंगा मैं X double bar? What I will do?
Average of that.
So average of all these readings, है ना? All these readings I need to take the average. That becomes X double bar. And for the range, the average of all the ranges data. So that becomes my R bar. Now you have the table of constants. Now tell me what factor I am going to take. What are the factors I am going to choose? A2, what factor I will take? So for A2, what will be my factor?
0.729.
729. Okay. And for D3?
0.
And D4?
2.8.
2.2, sorry. 2.282. Okay. So this is the values we are going to. किसी को प्रॉब्लम है, किसी को कोई अंडरस्टैंडिंग में इशू यहाँ पर? Yeah, Mr. Praveen, please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So anybody has any issue कि ये हमने फैक्टर कैसे लिए? किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम है? फैक्टर कैसे क्यों लिया हमने ये फैक्टर? क्योंकि हमारा सबग्रुप साइज कितना है? व्हाट इज आवर सबग्रुप साइज? इज 4. क्योंकि हमने यहाँ पर 4 सबग्रुप्स लिए हैं ना, सबग्रुप साइज 4 लिया है करके हमने ये चूज किया है. ओके, इफ योर सबग्रुप साइज इज 5, यू नीड टू सिलेक्ट दिस. अगर आपका सबग्रुप साइज 8 है तो आपको ये सिलेक्ट करना है. आपका सबग्रुप साइज 9 है तो आपको ये फैक्टर सिलेक्ट करने हैं. एंड फ्रॉम दिस नाउ यू आर गोइंग टू कैलकुलेट द कंट्रोल लिमिट्स. ओके, सो you have the value of A2. Okay, you have the value of A2, you have the value of D3, you have the value of D4. Got it? And you have the formulas. I am showing you the formulas, so you need to calculate on your own. So this is the values you have and this is the formulas you have. So tell me that, okay, tell me what will be your LCL and UCL for both the charts. You have the X bar value, you have the R bar value, you have the value for the A2, D3 and D4 also. So everything is there. You just need to calculate the LCL and UCL. I will wait for 3 minutes. Please calculate the LCL and UCL. Everybody needs to calculate. Very simple, and everything is there. Just a simple calculation you need to make. You have the value of S double bar, you have the R bar, you have the A2, D3, D4. Everything is being given. Now only fit it into the your formulas and tell me the values. So everybody focus here. I have got the values from these people, so I have put it here against each name. It is 59.817, 59.8, 59.8, 59. So it is okay. Means there is no difference between person to person as of, and it is coming 62.42. That is also okay. Now let us check what should be, and 4.08 is the UCL. LCL will be 0 for the range chart. Suraj also say 4.08. LCL is 0 and UCL is 4.08, 4.0802, 4.08. Okay. Now let us check. So for LCL, S double bar 61.12 minus A2 value is 0.729 into R bar value is 1.7880. So it will be 59.8115 or 15, some here and there must have come. So you can say 59.81 is the right answer, or 59.8 is the right answer. Then S double bar plus A2 into R bar 62.41, 62.42. If I change the decimal places, it is 62.42. That is correct answer. So it's okay. And for the range chart, we will calculate only UCL, because LCL, the D3 value is 0. So R bar doesn't matter, it will be 0 only. It will be D4 into R bar. That is 4.08022, or you can say 4.08. So good, everybody has calculated correctly. Now you have the data, you have the LCL, you have the UCL. You can prepare the control chart now. Just a minute, let me keep it away. So this is the data, I have already kept it here. So the average, I have directly taken it from here. So this average values, so this average value 60.9, 60.9, 61.1, 61.3, I have kept it at one place for the betterment. So 69.9, 61.1, 61.3, all we have taken here. Then the averages of the average, H double bar. So that is 61.12. So what was our H double bar? 61.12. So I have directly taken it here and put it across all the 25 values. Then LCL we have calculated 59.81 and UCL we have calculated 62.42. I have kept it here. You need to make a graph. Simple thing, you just select all these values, है ना. ये सभी वैल्यू को हम सिलेक्ट करेंगे, 25 वैल्यूज को. We go to the insert, we make the graph. Okay, this is our X bar chart, and then we have to make the range chart. So your range chart will, again I have taken the same data, keep it at one place. I will go to the insert, and this is our range chart. And it will go one above the other. Normally when you prepare it, on the Excel sheet, on the graph, basically how it look, it will not look like this. Okay, on that Excel sheet, normally you collect the data. I will show you how you are going to collect the data. This data we need to first change to the, we need to change to this one. So this is on daily basis or hourly basis, whatever the data you are going to take, you need to write on the graph in this form. You will have the data there also, and it is not that you will just write the trend, you will have the data also. Thus this data will be there. Every day you are going to collect the data and plot it, or every hour, whatever is the this one, you are going to plot the data. I will just show you how you are in actual scenario on the shop floor, how it will look. Okay, this will be your data. So this is historical base. You have created the lines for this one, you, on historical base. Okay, LCL and UCL you have calculated, so that historical data will be there. So you will just put a line of the UCL, a line of the LCL. These two lines you will keep. After that, your X bar data and your range data. No, this is your way. So this you are going to calculate for all the data. And you will have the LCL and UCL value. LCL, UCL and X double bar value you will have from this data. जो हमारा historical data है, from that you will have these values. So what was that? LCL was 59.81, 62.42. 59.81, 60.42. 59.81. And your S double bar value was 61.12. 61.12. So this will be a constant, है ना? This will, the constant in the sense you need to utilize it for all your next readings. You are not going to calculate. आप इसको बार बार कैलकुलेट नहीं करोगे. आपने हिस्टोरिकल बेस पे इसको कैलकुलेट कर लिया है ऑलरेडी. ठीक है. सो आप तो पहले इसकी लाइन यहां पर आएगी. ये लाइन आपकी कांस्टेंट कंटिन्यू चलती रहेगी जब तक कि आप रिकैलकुलेट नहीं करते हो. सो बेसिकली this is the LCL UCL of your X bar chart. Okay, this is for your X bar chart. So the graph paper what we have, you will have these lines. Okay, आप ये लाइन पहले ही निकाल के रखोगे. Now what you are going to do, you are going to plot it manually. So ये डाटा तो आपके पास है already. So I will just, I will add one more line, that is of of, oh sorry, जो x बार की वैल्यू है आई एम गोइंग टू पुट इट हियर. So this is your x bar value. This is the data. ये जो यहाँ पे कौन सा डेटा आया हुआ है? What data you have here? ये जो डेटा है x bar value 60.88 is plotted here, है ना? Then 61.08 is plotted here. So मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा? I need to just drag it a bit so that these values correspond to, है ना? अब देखिए, this correspond to this corresponds to this. तो ए एक दूसरे को ऐसे करस्पॉन्ड्स करते हुए चलेंगी, है ना? आई नीड टू ड्रैग इट फर्दर अप टू दिस. इज इट क्लियर? एनी कंफ्यूजन इज देयर? प्लीज आस्क. ओके, नाउ दिस पॉइंट इज बेसिकली करस्पॉन्डिंग टू दिस. ये जो 60.88 की वैल्यू है, यू आर गोइंग टू प्लॉट इट हियर. डोंट put the line, okay? I am just telling you this 61.08, the x bar value, focus on the x bar value. You are plotting basically the x bar values on the graph. This is x bar R chart. LCL and UCL you have calculated already based on your historical data, based on this data. Now on day-to-day basis, what you are going to do, whenever you put the 26th reading, जैसे ही आपके पास, now you are not 26, your regular reading you got. For example, regular reading of 4 subgroup size of 4 data you got, that is 60.1, 60.8, 60.3, 60.9. This is your data. Now you will plot. What data you are going to plot here? Which data you are going to plot? What we are going to plot there? क्या प्लॉट करूंगा मैं यहां पर? ये 4 रीडिंग का एवरेज प्लॉट करूंगा मैं. आई विल प्लॉट द एवरेज ऑफ दैट रीडिंग. $60.5. So this is the 60.5. I am going to plot it. Now if you are using the graph, I will plot manually the 60.5. I am going to plot. If next is 60.8, I am going to plot it manually and I will connect the dots, है ना? So I am going to plot the average. तो आपको क्या करना है? As soon as you got the readings, next readings, है ना? It is not necessary to put 27, 28. You can put the graph daily basis also. So every day you can start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that and continue. And put this averages value here. Put this averages value. Whatever the average value is there, you put. No need to calculate the LCL and UCL again. Please understand. Otherwise your data, as your data move, your LCL will also move. You will see like this, LCL is moving also. No. Okay. You need to just plot the X bar data and the R data. Similarly, we will prepare the chart for the range also, है ना? Similarly, I am going to put a chart for the range, है ना? So in that, if so, this is the X bar chart and this is now R chart. Okay. You need to just select the data, है ना? Range data you need to select. So this becomes your R chart, not R bar chart. Okay. This is the range chart. Now here you first select the LCL. LCL is 0, है ना? For this one the LCL is 0. So I will just drag it here. I think we missed one point, so LCL I will put 0, na? So this I am going to drag, so you will get the LCL value here. Then I am going to put the UCL value. So UCL of the R bar was 4.08. So this 4.08 I am going to drag. Okay, and then the data we have here, range data, and the averages. So again we need to take the average of R bar, that is what was the R bar value. We need to check what was the R bar value, 1.788. So 1.788 was the R bar. So our LCL and UCL. Now in the graph you don't need to write this, okay? You don't need to write the UCL, LCL and X bar. Where it will come? It will come on the top. Okay, on the top when we have the header information, there you will write what was the LCL value, what was the UCL value, and what was the X bar value, what was the R bar value. That thing you need to write one time only on the top. You no need to keep on writing this across this one. Everybody know that yes, this is the LCL value. Unless and until you are making it digitally, you don't need to drag it. Okay, so this is 1.788. This is basically 1.788. Now you must be thinking why it is not coming. It is because of the values. Here it will start with 0 and maximum is 4.5. It has taken. Automatically the graph is prepared. This is your now X bar R chart. Sorry, this is R chart. This is your R chart. This is 1.7888. So it will go continuously. This is the value of 4.08. It will go continuously. Now for this data, what was the range? The range will be maximum minus minimum. Maximum value is 60.9. Minimum value is 60.1. So it is 0.8. So 0.8 you are going to put it here. So this is your 0.8 value. So similarly, for every X bar data, you are going to write the corresponding range data, and you are going to simultaneously monitor the behavior of the X bar chart and the R chart. Got it? Any questions you people have? Yeah. Yes, Mr. Pawan, you can ask.
सर ये जो अपन UCL एंड LCL अपन के लिए जो डेटा लेते हैं,
हाँ
तो कितना डेटा लेना चाहिए? क्योंकि वो तो कांस्टेंट रहता है, आप जो बोल रहे हो, तो UCL और LCL वन टाइम ले लिया,
हाँ yes.
उसके बाद अपने को मॉडिफाई करना है, कितना डेटा लें कि वो सफिशिएंट इनफ रहे?
या गुड क्वेश्चन. आपको ऐसा डाटा लेना है ताकि वो आपके प्रोसेस का जो वेरिएशन
हेलो
है. हाँ, यस मिस्टर प्रवीण.
हेलो
हाँ, यस.
कैन यू प्लीज ट्रांसलेट द आंसर?
Yeah. I'm going to. He is asking basically कि how much data we should take to prepare the LCL and UCL. Means for historical data what we are taking for calculating the trial control limits or initial control limits. How much data we should take? That was his question. And we should take the data such a way that it should capture the variation of your process. For example, if you know that okay, your process is running 24/7, and you know that okay, whatever the variations will be there will be captured if you take say 3 days data. and all 3 shifts and 3 days data, so it will be 9 shifts data total, and in every shift maybe you are taking 4 readings, 5 readings, so that time you are need to take almost around say 30-35 data. So it doesn't depend on the number of data, basically it depends on how you are going to capture the variation of the process. Your process, you know it in a better way. So you know that okay, process will variation will always be there, so you need to capture data such a way that it shows you the variation present. It is a representative of the actual variation present in the process. You should not take very small data, otherwise what will happen, you will uh, basically what will happen, certain data variation data will not be there, and if you make this mistake, what will happen, after few days only you will get some data out of here outside, and maybe continuously outside you will start getting. Why? Because these control limits are not true control limits then, because you missed to capture the true variation of the process. तो आपको ऐसा डेटा लेना है जिससे कि प्रोसेस का वेरिएशन आप कैप्चर कर सको, मींस नॉर्मल वेरिएशन. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट स्पेशल कॉजेस. स्पेशल कॉजेस तो नोबडी नोज, इट मे हैपन एनी टाइम, even after preparing the control chart, after some time it can happen, okay, but the variation which is because of the common causes, that should be captured. So normally if you take around 25 or 30 datas, it captures, because your sampling plan will be based on based in such a way only. Like if you are taking the data of subgroup, for example, you are checking 5 samples every 100 samples, so at least 25 to 30 data sets you should check, means 30 subgroups, total subgroups. So you know that okay, it is capturing the variation of all the lots. You are taking the data from the all the lots, so that if some manufacturing variation is there, it is going to capture. Because on the process there will be a impact of the environment, impact of the operators. Like if your operators are changing, so at least you should take all the 3 shifts data, and to capture the variation of the people when they come in on the Monday, variation can be different, and towards the end of the week the variation can be different, can be, it's the inherent nature of the process. So what you should do, you should collect the data of all the 7 days or at least 6 days, and then you calculate the trial limits. So that will depict the your total variation of the process properly. Okay, Pawan? And anyhow, after few months, if you find out that many of the data are nearer to this one and you are not finding any special cause for this one, it means you need to recalculate the control limits. You need to recalculate your control limit. Either you adjust your process or recalculate the control limits. Mr. Praveen, is it clear to you also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is about the X bar R chart. So let us move to the X bar S chart. Similar to the X bar R chart, X bar S chart is also based on the subgroups, and normally you are going to, it is called X bar standard deviation chart, and normally you should use this when the subgroup size is above 10. You can also use it if you want more insights about your process, you want to know your process in a better way, you can use it for 5 to 10 also. Don't use it for below 5. You know, in such cases your work will be done by your what, by your range chart also, because you see the standard deviation chart, the calculations are more complex as compared to the range. Range calculation is very easier, you can very easily calculate the range, but to calculate the standard deviation, complex formulas are being used. Definitely if you are going to use the Excel sheet, it is very easy, but if you want to calculate it manually, there will be a complexity of the nature. So unnecessarily overdoing will be there if you are using it for less than 4, subgroup size of less than 4. Use it about 10, or in some cases 5 to 10 also you can use. Now, why it is better to go for the standard deviation? You see, when we are calculating the range, how many data points you are, how many datas you are, okay. Let me give you an example. You have a subgroup of 6, for example. Okay, subgroup size of 6. Your data is 1, 1.2, okay, 1.5, 1.4, 1.6 and 1.3. And another is again 1.3, 1.5, 1.8, 1.6, 1.6, 1.4. Yeah, these are the two data you have. Okay. Now tell me, what is the range of this data, both the data? These are the two subgroup you have, subgroup 1, subgroup 2, subgroup 3, subgroup 4. So it is 0.5, the range is 0.5 for this one. And what is the range for this? It is also 0.5. Now both the ranges is same. So can you say that the variation within this subgroup is same? Anna, can you say that okay, variation is same? Because for calculating the range, how many data you have used? Pawan, how many data you have used for calculating the range? How many data you have used for calculating the range? 2, yes. You have used this and you have used this. Oh no, in the first na 0.6, it will come 0.6 pound. And let it take 1.5 only, okay? For no, sorry, it's okay. No, wrong. Let it take 1.5 only. Then you are, so you have taken the minimum data and the maximum data, and here you have taken 1.3 and 1.8. Consider this as 1.5, okay? Then it will be 0.5, otherwise it was 1.6. So here you are taking only 2 points into consideration. When you are making a range chart, you are only focusing on 2 points. Whereas the standard deviation, for calculating the standard deviation, how much data you need to take? Yes, so you're right. You are just utilizing max minus minimum. So maximum one value will be there, minimum one value will be there. So you are just focusing on the 2 points. Whereas for standard deviation, how much data you should take? Or how much data you need to consider here in these two cases?
For what the subgroup, right?
Yeah, so standard deviation of the, if you are going for the standard deviation chart, you need to consider all the data. For calculating the standard deviation, you need to consider all the 6 data. For calculating the standard deviation of this, you need to consider all the data. Whereas for range, you are just considering the 2 data. It means you are not considering this. So even if the range is same, standard deviation is same or not, that we need to see. So let us just 1, 1.2, 1.5, 1.4, 1.5, and another data was 1.3, 1.5, 1.8, 1.6 and 1.6. So let us go to the Excel sheet and let us calculate quickly. it can be same, it cannot, it may be same, may not be same, I don't know, है ना. So one data was 1, 1.2, 1.5, 1.4 and 1.5. I think it was subgroup of 5. Okay. And another is 1.3, 1.5, 1.8, 1.6 and 1.6. So the range was same, है ना, range was same. Maximum of this one minus minimum of this one. So range was 0.5, here was also 0.5, but what about the standard deviation? Is it same? Because for the range we are just taking the two datas, or minimum and the maximum data, whereas standard deviation you need to consider all data. So I am going to use it directly, stdev.s, because it is not from the entire population, it is from the that particular sample basis you are taken. You are taken the 5 samples out of maybe 20, 30, 60 or 1 hour. So standard deviation is 0.21 and here it is 0.18. You see the difference? Now you will come to know why we are going to use the standard deviation chart. So you have the 5 readings, whereas range is same. It means when you plot the range chart, on the range chart you are not going to get any variation. You will be very happy that yes, range is same, range is same. There is no variation within this one. So one range will be here 0.5 and 0.5. So you will be happy. Yes, range is very good. You are moving in the same range. There is no high low. 0.5, 0.5 is running. But if you use the standard deviation chart, one you will get at 0.21, another you will get at 0.18. This will tell you that how much variation is there within the subgroup. Within the subgroup, how much variation is there, that you will come to know through this. Between the subgroups. So you will compare between the subgroups and you will know that yes, in this particular subgroup, the variation was more. Range was same, but variation was more. What is the reason behind that? Yes, Suyog. Yes, Suyog, you can ask your question. You are not audible to me. I can't hear you. Suyog, your voice is not audible. Anybody else is able to hear Suyog? Please communicate to me his queries. Suyog, can you type it? Because your voice is not audible. तो आप टाइप कर सकते हो, आपको है ना. Yeah, for standard deviation, the first day we have learnt. On the first day, you need to calculate variance. You need to calculate variance and then square root of the variance. But Excel will give you the facility to directly calculate the standard deviation. And that day we have seen that the standard deviation will be of two types. One, where you are taking all the data, it is a true representative of the entire population. So if the data is from the entire population, you are going to use stdev.p. okay, and if it is from the sampling basis, then stdev.s. So we have used here the formula stdev.s. Secondly, that day I couldn't found that formula, so today I will do for the variance calculation. You just use the var, VAR, and it is from the sampling basis, so you just use the variance formula. This is the variance, and if you take the square root of this one, SQRT of this, you will get the same value of 0.216795, 0.216795. So this is the variance we have calculated. Variance is 0.047 and square root of that variance is the standard deviation, that is 0.216795, 0.216795. Okay. Yeah. Anybody has any issue, please raise it. You can, do not hesitate to ask the questions. So that is why we are going to use, the purpose of telling all these things is why we are going to use the standard deviation chart. The standard deviation chart is going to give you more information about the variation present in the data. And the whole purpose of carrying out this activity of control chart is what? Why we are carrying out the SPC? What is the whole purpose? The purpose is to reduce the variation, and to reduce the variation you should know the true variation. And that's why, depending on the nature of the data, you need to utilize various charts. So here, this is how we are going to prepare. Yes.
Go to the Excel sheet.
Just a minute. Yeah.
The point, the 0.216 and 0.216, either how to calculate the 0.216 and 0.181 in Excel sheet?
This is
What
standard.
is sampling? Yes, means sampling. Another one is top side P, standard deviation dot P. What is in that?
Yeah, it is stdev.s, because if the data is from the entire population, okay, you are not taking the data of the entire population, you are just, these 5 samples are taken from the set of data. For example, you have in the 1 hour you have just taken 5 readings, so you are saying these 5 readings are representative of that 1 hour data, but actually you have not taken every data of that 1 hour. Or if you have manufactured, say for example 150 pieces, you have manufactured 150 pieces, and out of you have taken say 8 datas, 8 samples you have taken, and you have plotted the data, this 8 data in that particular subgroup. So can you say that this is the data from the entire population? These 8 samples are not from the entire population. These are the representative of this 150 pieces. So you will use the formula stdev.p, sorry, s, because it is from the sampling basis. And in the S formula, what it will do, when it takes the variance, when you calculate the variance, it will divide it by n minus 1 instead of n, and it will divide it n minus 1. So let us avoid the confusion. I am going to tell you again how to calculate that. Okay, this is the data. This is the data, same data we are talking about. First, for the variance calculation, what I told you, first you need to take the average. So take the average of this data. This is the average of the data. This is the average of the data. Then you need to make data minus average, or average minus data, whatever you want to make. So these are the values, and then you need to make the square of the differences. So this into this. Now what is the average of the square differences? So for this you need to calculate the sum of the square differences. ये जो differences है, what is the sum? Now if it is from the entire population, you just make the variance will be this one divided by the 5 number of data. Or if it is from the sample, then sample variance will be this one divided by n minus 1. Here there are how many data?
Sir, variance, how do I get variance? 0.037.
It is the average. The first thing what I told you, people, how you are going to calculate the
Okay,
variance
okay.
divided by the 5, average of this one.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
the average of this one is 0.0326, but it is not from the entire population. It is the sampling basis. That's why you are going to divide it by n minus 1. So that will how, if we divide it by the 4, the value will come 0.047. Now either I will do all this calculation or I directly put the formula VAR dot S and select the data. This is what I am going to get, variance of 0.047. If I put the formula VAR dot P, I am going to get 0.0376, 0.0376. ओके, सो अगर मैंने फॉर्मूला यूज किया P तो मुझे ये मिलेगा वेरिएंस, और मैं उसका जब स्क्वायर रूट लूंगा, स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ दिस वन SQRT ऑफ दिस and SQRT of this, so you will get standard deviation of 0.216795 if it is a data based on the sample. So 0.216795, you got it, 0.216795. So either you go by calculating the variance and then taking the square root, or you directly use the formula STDEV dot S and you select the data, you will get the same value, 0.216795, 0.216795. Is it clear? Everybody clear about this one?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now we will go to the presentation and come back again to the Excel sheet to prepare the data. So like the X bar R chart, X bar S chart is based on the subgroups. These are the formulas. There are different constants, like there you use the A2 and D4, here D3 D4, here you have to go use the A3, constant A3, and B3 and B4. S bar, there you use the R bar. Here you are not going to calculate the range, here you are going to calculate the standard deviation, and the standard deviation comes from the S bar. The averages of the standard deviation becomes the S bar. Got it? So now let us go to the Excel sheet and start preparing the control chart. So X bar S chart. So here how much, what is the subgroup size I have taken? What is the subgroup size? 11. Yes. So here I have taken the subgroup size of 11. Now what you need to calculate for plotting the data, first you require what? It is a X bar S chart, which means what you require, what you are going to calculate, this is the X bar S chart, means that needs to be plotted. What needs to be plotted on the control chart? कंट्रोल चार्ट पे हम कौन सा डेटा डालने वाले हैं? कंट्रोल प्लान, कंट्रोल नॉट प्लान, कंट्रोल चार्ट पे या स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन इज 1 एंड स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन तो आप डालोगे, एक चार्ट बनेगा स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन का एंड 1 चार्ट विल बी not range. Suyog, it is not range chart. It is the X bar S chart, not X bar R chart. Why range you will put here? There is no question of range here. Instead of range, you are taking the standard deviation in the X bar standard deviation chart. The name suggests itself, it's the X bar S chart. Means what data will be there? क्या क्या डाटा रहेगा यहाँ पर? The name is X bar. तो X bar तो रहना पड़ेगा ना. एवरेज हमको प्लॉट करना है एवरेज एंड प्लॉट करना है स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन. इन द X bar R चार्ट आपने एवरेज प्लॉट किया और रेंज प्लॉट किया. In the X bar R chart, you have plotted the X bar value, that is averages of the subgroup, and the range of the subgroup. Here in the X bar S chart, you are going to plot what you are going to plot? The averages of the subgroup and the standard deviation of the subgroup. So these two data you will require. Clear? So now calculate the average of the subgroup. What I will use the formula AVERAGE, average of the subgroup, and then I will drag it completely up to the last value. And then standard deviation. Now what formula you are going to use? STDEVP or STDEVS? बताइए मुझे. .p यूज करूंगा कि STDEV.S करूंगा? What formula I should use for calculating the standard deviation of this data? Yes, है ना. You are going to use STDEV.S. और अगर आपके पास एक्सेल शीट नहीं है तो how you are going to calculate? How you are going to calculate if you don't have the Excel sheet? By manually calculating the square differences of the average of the square differences. आपको एवरेज लेना पड़ेगा स्क्वायर डिफरेंसेस से, तो आपको मिलेगा वेरिएंस, और वेरिएंस का स्क्वायर रूट करोगे तो आपको मिलेगा स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन. दैट विल बी अ लेंथी प्रोसेस जो हमने आपको समझाया था. So you will just put the formula STDEV.S और आप ये कैलकुलेट इसको सिलेक्ट करोगे, आपका आ गया स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन. आपने उसको ड्रैग कर लिया तो आपका पूरा इंटायर ड्रैग कर देंगे हम, है ना, पूरा ड्रैग कर देंगे लास्ट तक, तो हमको वैल्यू मिलती जाएगी. नाउ अगर आपके पास इफ यू डोंट हैव द एक्सेल, you can do it manually also. Like this 1.004, how it has come 1.004? You just consider this data. Okay, so सबसे पहले इसका क्या चाहिए हमको? एवरेज. एवरेज इज 61.11, तो हमने यहाँ पे लिख दिया इसका एवरेज. इस डेटा का हमने एवरेज निकाल लिया. ओके, द एवरेज ऑफ दिस वन. Then what is the difference? Difference means this value minus this value or this value minus this value. तो उनका एक difference आ गया यहाँ पर सभी 11 values का. Then we need to make the square of this one. जो difference आया, you need to make the square. This is the square. And what is the sum of all the square differences? The sum of square differences is 10.089. And this is 11 minus 1. How much data is there? Total data is 11 points. So now you need to make these square differences n minus 1. Here a small mistake, I think, why it is showing 004. Yeah, I think average of G8 to Q8. Yeah, and then difference. Okay, then square of this, and then sum of the entire data. Okay, and this is the variance. Now this is the variance. 1.008909 is the variance. And what will be your standard deviation? Square root of the variance. How much it has come? What is the value of variance? Standard deviation. When we calculate all these steps manually, you can do it. What is the standard deviation? 1.004. We calculated directly with the formula 1.004. It is same. Okay. So you calculate the standard deviation, you calculate the average. Then you take x double bar. X double bar means averages of the average in sabhi ka average. 25 subgroups were there. So take the average of all the subgroups. 61.27 is the average. And averages of the standard deviation, S bar. S bar means averages of the standard deviation. So जो standard deviation आया उसका average है S bar. Now you have the data, you plot it. So first thing is that you need to calculate the LCL and UCL based on this data. I am going to put it here. Okay, now you have the formulas. Okay, you have the formula, you have the LCL and UCL. Sorry, you have the formulas, you have the value of X bar, X double bar and S bar. Standard deviation also you have, S double bar also you have. Simply you can calculate the LCL and UCL. So can you please calculate? I will wait for 3 minutes. Please calculate the LCL and UCL for averages chart and LCL and UCL for the standard deviation chart. And please tell me. I will just wait for 3 minutes. Not more than that, because we have to cover the NP and P chart also. Yeah. So this is how we have prepared the X bar R chart. You calculated the averages of the entire data. Sorry. You calculated the averages of the entire data. Then you calculated the standard deviation. Yes, Mr. Pawan.
सर जो स्पेशल कॉज के लिए जो अपन पैटर्न अपन वो करते हैं
हाँ,
रेफरेंस के लिए, वही पैटर्न अपन ये रेंज चार्ट और स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन चार्ट में भी
yes, yes,
एप्लीकेबल रहेगा क्या?
yes, yes, yes.
ओके.
So you prepare it like this, you plot the data here, same data what we have calculated, the LCL and UCL what we have calculated, utilizing the formulas, and prepare the graphs. And then keep on plotting the data forward. Okay, so I hope everybody is clear on this point. So let us go to the presentation and discuss the defective and the defect. Why it is important, this defective and defect? Because now you are going to prepare the charts for the attribute type of data, and for the attribute type of data the charts are prepared for the defective and the defects. So what is this defective and what is this defect? We are going to learn this, then we will see the formulas, and then we will see how to plot the graph. Because now you people have understood, because just application of the formula, calculating the control limit, and after that it is very easy for you to calculate to plot the graphs. Now what is defective and what is defect? Defective is basically non-conforming. Okay, the product which does not meet the requirement, you term it as a non-conforming product, or you can say defective product. It can contain one defect, it may contain more than one defect, but ultimate decision was rejection. Okay, after rejection, you may have reworked it, you might have downgraded it, you might have used that product for alternate application. That is a different story. But for the control plan purpose, once it is rejected, it has to be counted as a rejected. Either a material is rejected, either it is accepted. There are only two scenarios. So if you accept it, don't put it on the graph. If it is rejected, put it on the graph. The data is collected for plotting on the graph. So like you are manufacturing a JCB. So either the JCB is accepted or it is rejected. There is nothing in between. Okay. If your incoming product, you want to monitor your incoming product, you want to check the reliability of your customer or the performance of your supplier, reliability of your supplier. So start monitoring the defectives data of your suppliers lots. So either you will accept or either you will reject. So you can plot the graph. So the component what we receive, it will be either accepted or either rejected. Is there something in your factory that in between something like accepted or reject के बीच में भी कुछ होता है? Like hold is there, okay, definitely, but again hold is it is not going to be accepted, no? It is not accepted, that's why it is hold. So you term it as a rejected only. Even it is hold, it is means it is rejected, it is not meeting the requirement. The decision will be taken afterwards. The salvaging, whether it is allowed under concession from the customer. Rework is the next step. Akash, rework is the next step after rejection. Why you are reworking? Because it is not meeting your requirement, that's why you are reworking. So that is basically you need to term it as a non-conforming product. It is not meeting your requirement. Secondly, if it is a minor thing, you are not terming it as a defective. At the end of the day, if it is not rejected, it has been reworked and utilized, okay, you do not term it as a defective. You may or may not term it as a defective, it's up to you. The definition you need to generate for your organization. What will give you more insight? आपकी organization में आप किस तरह का data monitor करोगे तो आपको किस तरह का benefits मिलेगा? Organization has to decide. SPC manually is not saying कि you term this as defective and you term this as not defective. It is the choice of the organization. It is the choice how organization wants to, like if you want to define a defective as the product which is not which you are not able to rework or not able to send to the customer under concession, you can define that yes, this we will call it as a defective part. The parts which you can rework and send, you will not treat it as a defective part. It is up to you. Like if scratch is there, you are going to rework and send, you are going to paint it and send, so don't count it as a defective. But for such cases, you are going to count the defect rate. How many defects you found, that is non-conformity. So any kind of non-conformity is there, of failure to meet the specification is there, it is a non-conformity. Like scratches hai, some headlight mein problem hai, headlight is not working, you are not going to reject the JCB for headlight not working. What you are going to do, you are going to replace the headlight. So it is ultimately at the end of the month, it is not a reject. Okay, yeah, in the next day it is not counted as a reject. You found a non-conformity, that is headlight was not working, so you will term it as a defect. You are not going to reject that unit of the vehicle. Okay, so I hope it is clear for you people what is defective, non-conforming. Either it is accepted or rejected, and defects means any kind of non-conformity will be there which can be reworked, which may not be reworked. Both the cases are there. If something damage is there, you are not going to reject, you are not going to rework, ultimately that unit will be rejected. वो unit जो है आप स्क्रैप कर दोगे, रिजेक्ट कर दोगे, डाउनग्रेड कर दोगे, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू एक्सेप्ट इट एट ऑल. सो वो डिफेक्टिव में भी आ जाएगा, नॉन कंफर्मिंग में आ जाएगा काउंटिंग उसका, एंड किस कारण से वो रिजेक्ट हुआ है, क्या डिफेक्ट है उसके अंदर. was there a noise in the engine, was there excessive vibration, was there a faulty motor, or for example was there a say burnt motor, was there a problem with the say assembly chassis. अगर जो भी प्रॉब्लम है you will count it as a defect. If you take a case of an apple is there, so either you will say the apple is accepted or apple is rejected. Huh? Either you will say apple is accepted if it is completely rotten, you will say yes, or decayed, you will say yes, it is not accepted, you will reject it. So this data, how many apples has been rejected, means you are not going to utilize it for the intended purpose. जो उसका पर्पस था उसके लिए आप यूज नहीं करोगे, आप वो फेंक दोगे, आप उसका ये बनाओ, आप बायो फर्टिलाइजर बनाओ, वॉट एवर यू वॉन्ट टू मेक, यू मेक इट यूजिंग दैट, but you are not going to use it for eating, so it means it is rejected. And secondly, the another case, either there will be a okay product, accepted product, or in the product there are certain defects, there might be a small dent on the apple, there are some part there is a damage, so you are not going to reject that one. What you are going to do, what you will do, you will remove that defective part and you use that one. Either you will say cover up that part and you will sell that one. So it means you need to count the defects, whether there were dents were there, scratches were there, small decay parts were there, that you need to count. Any doubt on the defective and the defect? Okay. So to monitor the defect and the defectives, you are going to use different charts. These charts are NP and P chart for the defectives. For NP and P charts are for defectives. For defectives, that is non-conforming parts. Now, why the NP chart and P chart? Because, for example, are you manufacturing the same number of JCB every day? Or it is fluctuating? Are you manufacturing the same number of units every day? No, है ना? So, if I say that if I monitor the trend of your JCB rejection, I say on first day there were 2 rejection, then 3 rejection, then 5 rejection, then 2 rejection, then 1 rejection, then there are 7 rejection. If I monitor the absolute numbers like this one, will it give the true picture? Will you say that this is the worst day and this is the best day? Can you say that, oh, the rejection level is very less here, rejection level is very high here? Is it possible, or it is okay if you if your number of units are changing every day? From the absolute number, can you say that yes, this is the best day and this is the worst day? Because your number of units are changing, you don't know. When there were 7, how many units you have manufactured? Have you manufactured 700 units? I am just taking a hypothetical data. I know you cannot manufacture 700 JCB in a day. So was there 700 here? On here, when there was 1, how many units were manufactured? If there are 150 units manufactured, and out of 150 there is 1 rejection, or for example, sorry, not 150, out of 50 there is 1 rejection, and out of 700 there is a 7 rejection. So now tell me which one is better? Out of 50 1 is better, or out of 700 7 is better?
सर स्क्रीन चेंज नहीं हुआ, सेम है वो, डिफेक्ट एंड डिफेक्टिव वाला।
अच्छा वहीं पे है क्या?
यस
जस्ट मिनट। नाउ it was the screen, na? So now it is visible to you. Okay, yeah. So I was saying, if you are monitoring the number of defects, there were 1 defect, na, 5 defects, absolute number of defects you are manufacturing. So here there were 7 defects on this day, na? And on this day there were only 1 defect. So can you say that this is the best day and this is the worst day? Because every day your numbers are changing. No, because every day the production is changing. So now in such cases you need to use the chart P, is the charts for proportion, because you don't know. For example, here number of parts were 50 and here the number of parts were 700. Now you tell me, 7 out of 700 is better or 1 out of 50 is better? If you check the proportion, which one is higher? 1 out of 50 is higher or 7 out of 700 is higher?
वन आउट ऑफ 50 इज हायर।
1 out of 50 is higher, so it is worse, na? But if you just look at the graph, you will see, oh, 1 is very less. That day the rejection level is very less, but actually the level is very less on this day, not on this day. So where your subgroup size keeps on changing, the sampling size keeps on changing, the number of units produced keeps on changing, you are going to use the P chart. Whereas the number of units manufactured are same or your subgroup size is same. For example, you are collecting 5 data for testing. Every 100 data you are collecting 5 data. This is constant, and out of that you are finding out how many are reject and accept. Or every day you are producing 100 data and every day you are producing say 150 units. It is constant. That day, that time you can use the NP chart, number of units non-conforming. But when the denominator keeps on changing, the number of production part keeps on changing, you are going to use the P chart. That is the difference. Okay, we can take one example here. Similar way this is the case. Day 1, 33 people have failed, 25, 55, 36, 25. Here we can say that this is the worst day. Normally if we look at the data, we can say yes, this is the worst day if we take it as a case 1 where every day there are 200 people who took the test. Every day you have manufactured the 200 pieces. And then the rejection is like that. So you can say, oh, this is the worst scenario. And this is the best day, this is the best day. You can say so comparatively. But if the number of samples keeps on changing, the number of people who attempted the test keeps on changing every day, then you need to go for the proportion. And when you look at the proportion, you are seeing that yes, this is the best day. So okay, 25 was the best day, and the day 2, 25.25% rejection where this is the worst day. This is also the worst day when there were 33. Whereas when there was 55 rejection, actually the proportion was less because that day the number of production was more. 300 parts were produced. Similar way here, if you monitor the defect 3, 5, 2, 8, 13, you can.
सर स्क्रीन चेंज नहीं हुआ है।
अभी भी नहीं हुआ है?
नहीं
Just a minute, what is happening? Why it is changing? Okay, so this was I was discussing. Here you can see that yes, there were 33 pieces, there were 25, there were 55, and so anybody can say that yes, this 55 is the worst case, but actually it is not. The proportion is only 0.183 when we consider case 2, that is every day the number of samples are changing. And if the samples are not changing every day, or the number of products produced are not changing every day, then it's okay. This is the worst. Anybody can say this is the best. Similar way, if you are producing the number of products, number of defective number of products, tools you are producing, every day you are producing 150 products, and out of that you got 3, 5, 2, 8, 13 products defective. Either you are producing, either you are checking. So it means out of 1000 pieces produced, you are checking 150 pieces, and in 150 pieces you got 3 defectives. So every day 1000 samples, out of 1000 you are producing testing 150 samples, and you are checking the defect rate. So here absolute value, anybody can say yes, this is the worst scenario. Anybody can say this is the worst scenario. But if the number of samples are changing, it may change, may not change, it depends. Okay, like here still it is higher, because out of 150, 13 defects are there. If I change it to the 350 parts, definitely the proportion is going to get down. Now, the thing is, you need to, if the denominator is keep on changing, you need to use the P chart, that is proportion. Charts for proportion of units non-conforming. Now, if the charts for this is different, both the charts are different, it means the LCL and UCL formulas will also be different. You will have two formulas you need to use. For the type of chart like NP, that is number of defectives, and number of proportion defectives. Okay, the NP chart, charts for number of units non-conforming, and charts for proportion of non-conforming. These are the two formulas we have for calculating the LCL and UCL. Here NP bar, again NP bar, NP means number of non-conforming. So NP bar, averages of the non-conforming or defective item, non-conforming items or defective items. So average number kitne hai, so that will you have to find out what is the average number of defective you got. And then there is a P bar. P bar is the average of defective fraction or ratio. What is the average of the fraction? So if you have 300 samples total and defects are for example 30, so the proportion will be 0.1. Excel sheet mein jayenge to you will understand in a better way. And for the N chart, for the P chart, there is a N also, and N is nothing but subgroup size, the number of samples tested or observed or inspected. How many samples you have tested, how many samples you have inspected, that N you need to write here in the denominator. So these two formulas you need to use to calculate the LCL and UCL of the NP and P chart. Once you calculate the LCL and UCL, then every day keep on monitoring the data either in the P chart or in the NP chart based on your production type, sampling type. If it is changing, if it is every day it is changing, you need to follow the P chart. Otherwise, you follow the NP chart. Now we will quickly go to the Excel sheet and see how the NP and P charts are prepared. So total number of defective, I had just taken this information to understand that yes, there is a low hardness and tip damage, not deep, it's a tip damage. And total number of defective I written here. Okay, so total number of defectives are 1, 10, 4, 5. All these are the number of defectives produced. Okay, number of defectives produced. and the sample size. So every day you have produced 30, 60, 42, 62. Sorry. First, let us calculate the P chart, NP chart, and then we will go to it. So every day you have taken this total number of defective is 1, 10, 4, 5, 4, 5. These all are the defective pieces. And every day the sample size is same, means every day you are checking 30 samples. Every day you are checking how many samples? 30 samples. So what is the NP? So total number of defectives, NP is the total number of defective is how many? The sum of all this number of defectives. Number of defectives are 67. Number of defectives are 67. And total kitne sample test kiye? How many samples you have tested? 360 samples you have tested. Because every day you are checking 30 samples. So 12 days data is there. This is the not 12 days, 12 shifts data is there. So 12 into 30 equals to 360. The total test what you have done, 1 test, 2 tests, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So all this you can say the total number of tests you have carried out, and you have find out in that particular test 12 number of tests, 12 times you have done this, and every test there will be a 30 samples tested. So NP bar is the average of the defectives. What is the average number of defectives? So 12 test data is there, 12 days data is there. So every day there is a 5.58 number of defectives generated. Okay, this is the NP bar is the average of the defectives. So 12 days 12 data are there. So every day how many, every shift how many defects are generated? 5.58. And what is the P bar? The proportion, we need to calculate the P bar also, that is proportion defective. So total number of defective samples were how much? 67. And how many samples you are tested? 360. So that is 67 divided by 12, that is 30 samples into 12, that is 360 samples. So basically it is nothing but total number of defectives were 67 divided by total number of samples tested were 360. So it is 0.1861. So same thing is here, 0.1861. That is NP bar. How you calculate the NP bar? By dividing the total number of defective by the total number of tests done. Total number of tests done how many? 360. Total number of samples tested how many? 360. Every day you are tested 30 samples. 4 days, 3 shifts every day, 12 shifts data is there. So 12 into 30, 12 into 30, 360. 360 samples tested, and out of 360 samples tested you found 67 defective. It means the proportion defective is 0.186111. So you can take 0.186 here. So you have NP bar, you have P bar, and now the formula is here. So NP bar minus 3 into under root of NP bar minus 1 minus P bar. So now you have NP bar value and the P bar value. You have the NP bar, you have the P bar. And from this you can easily calculate, the LCL and UCL. So for calculating the LCL, you are going to take NP bar 5.58 minus 3 into square root of NP bar into 1 minus P bar. Just a minute. 1 minus P bar, and you close this. Okay, 0.812 is the LCL, and similar way, sorry, 0.814, no, 812 है ना? 0.812 is the LCL, and similar way you will calculate the UCL. Na? Again for UCL you will have NP bar plus 3 into under root of NP bar into 1 minus P bar. So either you can do one by one. Na? First you will solve the 1 minus P bar value. So what is 1 minus P bar? Let us take 1 minus P bar. So 1 minus P bar. This is the value of 1 minus P bar. Now multiply it by NP bar. Got it? So we have solved 1 minus P bar and multiplied it by N minus P bar. Now take the square root of this one, SQRT of this one, and now multiply it into 3. Now this value, to calculate the LCL, you will take NP bar minus this one. So 0.8128, so 812 is the value, and when you take NP bar plus this one, it is your 11.98 is your value of UCL. Now once you have the LCL and UCL, you just calculate the you just start plotting the graph. You have the LCL and UCL. Now you are going to, this is the NP chart, number of defectives. So continue it, 1, 10, 4, 5, this data will be there against the your control limits. These are the control limits and this is the data. So every day keep on plotting your data of the defectives, because every day you are testing 30 samples. That's why you can plot absolute number. Every day it is not changing. That's why you can plot absolute number. Now if every day the data is changing, we will just extend 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, I hope it is okay with you. Every day if the data is changing like 30, 60, every day number of samples is changing, so your calculation will change. The calculation of the data, the calculation of the chart will change. Here you need to plot the proportion. This is the proportion. Proportion means how many samples, one sample defective, how many, out of how many, 30, so 0.033. How many samples defective, 10, out of how much, 60. This is your proportion. So you need to calculate the proportion. Then as per the formula, you have the proportion value, then you need to find out the P bar. The averages, P bar means averages of the data. So you take the averages of all your this one. So this is the P bar value. This is you have calculated the P bar, and then you calculate the number of samples. How many is number of samples? Average number of samples. So the average number is how many samples you are tested. So every day how many samples tested, you take the average of that one. So this average is 35.53. Now utilizing this and this formula, you can calculate the upper control limit and lower control limit. So for that, again you have the P bar. So what we will do, one by one you solve the equation. Okay, so what is the 1 minus P bar? So you can take P bar into 1 minus P bar. Directly we will take. So this is P bar into 1 minus P bar. So what we have solved now? We have solved this much. Okay. Now divided it by the n. So this one divided by n. So this is the n. Now take the square root of this SQRT of this one. Now multiply it by the 3. To calculate the LCL and UCL, for LCL, from the P bar value minus this value, this will be your LCL, and plus this in the P bar value, it will be your LCL. So 0.336 is your UCL and 0.02 minus 0.02 is your LCL. And you plot this graph. This is the proportion. You can see here it is the proportion data. Now keep on every day, whatever the samples you select, if you found 5 defective sample out of 60 sample, you just calculate the proportion 0.0833 and you plot the value of 0.0833. So 0.05 is here and 0.01 is here. So around 0.08 here the point will come. You will plot it here. Next day you calculate if there are 3 samples defective out of 70, what is the proportion? The proportion is 0.04. So you will plot the value of 0.04. Now when you get the 0.04, it is out of control. Something has happened. Some special cause has happened. Why there are more number of defects? You need to find out. Why there are so many defects? Why there are 3 it is 0.04, sorry, not 0.4. So it will have here 0.04. So keep on monitoring. If the number of proportion defect is going down, you know that yes, it is well below the average number of defectives. So you need to be you know that whatever the actions you are taking are giving the results. From this graph you will come to know that yes, and it's a live data that you are going to plot. For example, it is not live means doesn't mean that defect generated and you are going to plot. So everyday data you are going to plot. Either shift wise, if you want to monitor it shift wise, you can monitor shift wise also. After every shift your person can come and update this one. So I am changing the screen now. So this is about the NP and P chart. Tomorrow we will go through the C and U chart in the first 30 minutes. Okay, how to calculate this control limits of C and U charts, and these are the formulas. Then we will summarize it tomorrow itself. And tomorrow, apart from this C and U chart, what we are going to cover is the terms and definition about the process performance and process capability indices. Then how you are going to calculate the CP, PP, CPK and PPK. what is the sigma level and how you are going to determine the sigma level of your process. We will summarize the entire session of these 5 days, and we will let you know how to get certified, how to access the quiz, and score requirements. So any doubt in today's session, please raise it, else we will close it, and we will see you people tomorrow. Any doubts are there? Yes, Pawan.
सर अभी जो अपन कंट्रोल चार्ट वगैरह बना रहे हैं इसमें स्पेसिफिक जो लिमिट रहती है उसकी तो बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं, मतलब कभी वो स्पेसिफिक लिमिट से जो अपना कंट्रोल लिमिट्स है वो स्पेसिफिक लिमिट से बाहर हो गई है,
हाँ हाँ,
तो वो तो अभी तो अपन ने इसकी तो बात ही नहीं की स्पेसिफिक लिमिट क्या है।
specific limit, no
हो
specific.
सकता है कंट्रोल लिमिट्स उससे बाहर हो।
हाँ, तो then it means that okay, many of your data will go down. Now we are talking about the control, not talking about the capability, है ना? So now if you think that your control limits are out of specification limit, आपकी specification यहाँ पे और control यहाँ पे, just imagine your data is going to go out of specification limit many of the time. So your capability will be very very low. Your capability will be very low. Because for capability analysis, you require the data of R bar by D2. है ना? For CPK analysis, you require the data of R bar by D2, or R bar by D2 you will get it from the, or S bar by C4. है ना? There are two data you require. Either if you use standard deviation chart, S bar by C4, or you are going to use R bar by D2 for calculating the CPKs. And for PPK, the standard deviation what you get from the variance. So now that's why when we are talking about the control limit, we are not talking about the specifications. Specifications will come to the picture when you calculate the capabilities. And it's the common sense that okay, if you calculate the control limit and many of your data are out of specification, if control limits are not within your control limits, specification limits, then many of your data defective rate will be very above. So that is a basic requirement. Your control limit needs to be within your specification limit. That is the first and foremost thing required. And secondly, how far it is away from your specification limit will define your capability. जितना अंदर रहेगी उतनी कैपेबिलिटी आपकी बेटर रहेगी, ज्यादा रहेगी. जितनी पास में जाएगी उतनी आपकी कैपेबिलिटी खराब रहेगी. And that is what we will see tomorrow in the capability analysis. ये जो है ना, the average mean, your mean how much away from the specification limit. आप सोचो, this is your specification limit, lower specification and upper specification limit. This is your average. Control chart में आप monitor क्या करते हो? You are monitoring the average, you are monitoring the data. If your data is like this one, maximum data is at here, it means the chances of going out of specification will be lesser if you are running at the center. But if you run on this side, आपकी control limit अगर बाहर है, इसमें maximum points you are going out of specification limit, maximum defectives will be generated. Your CPK will be nothing. It will be lesser than 1. So many rejections will be there. So basic requirement, your control limit needs to fall within the specification limit. So अगर ऐसा नहीं है तो either your specification is wrong. अगर if you are talking about the processes and if your control limits are higher than your specification limit, means either you have set the wrong specification or you have set the wrong setting point. अगर आपने wrong setting point लगा के रखा है, रॉन्ग सेटिंग पॉइंट अगर लगाया हुआ है तो आपका ऐसा होगा. अदरवाइज व्हाई इट शुड हैपन. फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आपका स्पेसिफिकेशन लिमिट यहां पर है ना, इफ योर टेम्परेचर इज 1000 एंड 900, यू वांट योर प्रोसेस टू रन बिटवीन दिस, तो आपका सेट पॉइंट तो आप 950 पे रखोगे. यू विल पुट योर सेट पॉइंट एट 950 एंड व्हेन यू कलेक्ट द डेटा यू विल गेट द डेटा बिटवीन दैट ओनली. सो वेयर इज द क्वेश्चन ऑफ योर कंट्रोल लिमिट गोइंग आउट ऑफ स्पेसिफिकेशन लिमिट. Normally it should not happen. If it happens, there is a big mistake. Okay. Okay. So let us see tomorrow,
Okay, sir.
है ना? When we go through the CPKs, you will understand more because CPKs are related to the specification limits. Okay. So I am closing the session. See you people tomorrow. And bye bye. Good night. Take care.